Being able to create vector artwork will open up a lot of possibilities for different projects that you can take on as an illustrator. But what even is vector artwork, you might be asking? Maybe not as aggressively, but you might be asking that. In the world of digital images, there are two main types. There are raster and there are vector. Raster images are made up of tiny colored dots called pixels. If you try to zoom in on a raster image, you'll start seeing these pixels and it'll get all blurry and pixelated. This is not great for resizing without losing quality. Many drawing and graphics apps, including things like Procreate and Photoshop, are based in raster art. So what about vector art? Instead of using pixels, vector art uses magical math, points, and curves. As a result, you can zoom in infinitely and it'll remain perfectly clear because vector art is independent of resolution. That's why vector art is necessary for things like logos or illustrations that need to appear extra crispy on various things, from tiny business cards to billboards and other things that start with the letter B. In the past, creating vector artwork was a little bit more complicated, but not anymore. Adobe Fresco makes it just as easy to work in vector as it would be if you were just creating pixel-based art. In fact, Fresco has a feature that makes it even easier in some cases, but we'll get into that in a bit. I recently worked on a project where the art was going to be used in many different ways, including being engraved into wood, screen printed onto shirts, made into stickers, and used as branding on the side of a custom marker. The main element of this collection was these engraved wood skate frame graphics. So because these graphics were going to be laser engraved, I wanted to make sure that the illustrations that I did were nice and tight so that they would reproduce well, being literally cut out of wood. So I knew I was going to avoid any sort of shading or gradient type situations and maybe just play around with halftone patterns or some lines to add some texture to the artwork. As with any of my work, I started with a rough sketch. Because Adobe Fresco allows for both pixel-based and vector-based workflows, I'm able to do the sketch and then create the vector work all within the same app, making it a seamless process. I personally can't sketch out an idea unless it feels like I'm working with pencil on paper. For some reason, drawing in like a vector brush or even just like a line work brush, I don't know, I can't get my ideas out. I think maybe it just feels too final, but that could just be me. So to work out my idea, I just use one of the many pencil brushes available within Adobe Fresco. So with my sketch finalized, I can start redrawing it with the vector brushes. At the top of the toolbar, you'll see pixel-based brushes. Then below that are the live brushes, which is for another topic. And then right below that, you will see the vector brushes. Within the vector brushes, you'll see a lot of different options that you can play around with. Personally, I just stick with the basic round brush that I just slightly modify for my own personal preferences. All I did to customize it was to uncheck the velocity dynamics because I don't want the line to change based on how fast or how slow I'm drawing. And then I just lowered the pressure dynamics to 72%. It sounds precise, but it was sort of willy-nilly. Basically, I just wanted to have a somewhat consistent line with the ability to slightly taper when I want to. And then the only other thing I do is I go into my brush options and I bring the smoothing all the way up to 100% so that I can have nice smooth lines, especially because these are going to be laser engraved, as I mentioned several times. When you have the smoothing turned all the way up, you'll notice there's a little bit of a delay as you're drawing, and this is just how the smoothing works. It's just cleaning up the line as you draw it. You'll notice if you turn the smoothing back down, that lag completely goes away. But I'm going to turn it back up. So you'll probably notice that drawing with the vector brush isn't really much different than it would be if you're using a pixel brush. And this is why I love it so much. The drawing process is so much more natural than it was in the past using things like the blob brush in Adobe Illustrator. You definitely couldn't achieve this sort of natural line quality and just, regular old drawing that easily. One thing I can do to make sure my corners are nice and tight is to use this secret weapon Adobe Fresco has called a vector trimming. With vector trimming, I can draw right through these lines and then double tap my modifier, and then I can just simply draw through what I don't want. And if we zoom in, you'll see that we just have an impeccably clean corner.
Pretty impressive.
Vector trimming is super handy for things like this, and then areas here where you just really want like a perfectly tight edge and corner. It also makes it a lot easier to do these like long flowy lines and have them remain perfectly smooth because you don't have to try to stop right at the edge. You can just draw through where you need to go without losing that momentum that helps you get that smooth line. It does sort of feel like cheating. One thing I should mention, with the touch modifier, when you first double tap it, you'll see that there's blue, the blue circles in the center. To use the vector trimming, you want to tap it again to get the blue on the outside circle. With the blue just in the center circle, all that does is it makes your vector brush into an eraser, which can be helpful on its own. But the vector trimming is the real game changer here. So because there's not a vector halftone brush in Adobe Fresco, I'm just gonna simply make this out of a circle. So I'm just gonna grab the circle or ellipse selection tool. I'm gonna double tap the modifier so that it locks it into a perfect circle, and I'll size it and then fill it in. I'll choose vector because obviously we need this to be vector. And then I'm gonna go ahead and duplicate my layer and then go into the transform tool and then double tap that. And then if we use this little nudge arrows at the bottom with the modifier selected, you'll see we can move it 10 pixels at a time. And now I'm gonna merge those two layers together. And now we have 2 dots and only hundreds more. Don't worry, it's gonna be quick and easy. So I'm gonna duplicate that layer. And instead of using the nudge, this time what I'm gonna do is double tap the modifier and then drag. And with the modifier selected, this is going to lock the axis so that it stays in line with the others. And then I'll just bring it down and then I'll merge those two together. And now we've got 4. We'll do the same thing and we'll have 8 and we'll have 16. Now we've got our first row. So I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna duplicate it. And then when I use the touch modifier, you'll see when I drag it over to the right, it locks it on the x-axis. So it'll lock it wherever you are dragging, whether it's vertical or horizontal. I'll do this a few times, duplicating each time. And now we quickly have a full row of these. And then I'll just duplicate it for each of the other sections that have halftones in them. Now I'll just lower the opacity on these halftone patterns so that I can see what I'm doing, and then just draw through the ones that I don't want with the touch modifier. Or you could use an eraser or the selection tool, whatever you want. Okay, now that everything is drawn in vector format, I'm just gonna clean up the edges here. So to do that, I'm just gonna go ahead and merge the vector layers together. And then I'm going to click on my template layer and select the outside area of the template, then go back to my vector layer and then just hit erase, and then all the extra stuff will be gone. And this is ready to go. The second item in this collection is a t-shirt based on the frame graphics. However, the t-shirt will have color and there'll be more of this. So what I'm gonna do is take some of the elements from the frame graphics and then make some more elements to go along with this and make it a bigger overall graphic that sort of matches with this, because a lot of the elements will be repeated. So I have a new document here for the shirt. I basically just went with 4x5 proportions because the size doesn't really matter. This is vector artwork, it's infinitely scalable, and I'm gonna bring this into Illustrator to prepare it for the printer anyway, and then I can figure out what size it needs to be at that point. Basically, I'm just designing this based on the proportions of how I want it on the shirt, and I want it to be a rectangular-ish shape because that's the size of a t-shirt. The first thing I did was copy and paste my frame graphics into this document so that I could break apart the design and take some of those elements to use as a starting point for the shirt. So I sort of willy-nilly placed them around the document here. And then I went ahead and drew like a somewhat of an oval shape. And my plan is to just make sort of a jumble of stuff that fills this shape because I think it'll be a nice size for the shirt graphic. So with this stuff spread around, I'm just gonna go in and sketch in some new things that sort of match the overall vibe. Okay, so I've got everything sketched in here, feeling pretty good about the overall composition. And now I'm just gonna do the same thing we did with the frame graphics and trace this over with my vector brushes and make everything nice and tight. Okay, so here's what it looks like in the final vector line work. And now we need to go ahead and add color. So these shirts are going to be screen printed. So that means each of the colors will be printed separately. So because of that, I'm going to make sure that each of my colors are on their own separate layers. The shirt is going to be printed with 4 ink colors, and it's going to be printed on this teal blue color that I've selected. So with the blue as its own background layer, I'm going to go ahead and tap on my line work layer and set this as a reference layer, this will allow me to fill in these shapes on separate layers while still using that line work as the guide for where it should fill. So now all we have to do is use the fill tool to fill in our color, keeping each color on its own separate layer. Okay, the artwork is pretty much done. I've got my line work layer and then my 3 other color layers. There's 2 ways that we can get our artwork over to Adobe Illustrator. The first way is to click on Publish and Export, and then just choose this option that says Open a Copy. And here we can just send this file directly to Illustrator on the iPad or Illustrator on the desktop. So I'm going to do this on my desktop computer. So I would just hit Open a Copy and then choose Illustrator on the desktop. But before we do that, let me just show you another option if you need to get vector artwork out of Adobe Fresco into something else. What you can do is, again, click on Publish and Export, but then choose Export As, and then on your menu, you can choose PDF. Saving it as a PDF will keep all of your vector artwork intact, and you can go ahead and open it up into Adobe Illustrator, and all of your vectorness will be there ready to edit or do whatever you need to do with it. I'm gonna bring this into Adobe Illustrator and just clean up the artwork a little bit. This isn't completely necessary, but it's always nice to send tidy files. It also lessens the chance that your artwork can get messed up. And what I mean by tidy up the file, the process of drawing with vector brushes is different than how you would normally create vector art. With vector art, you're typically using like a pen tool where you're drawing points and then connecting those points with lines. In Adobe Fresco, you're just drawing with a vector brush like it's a marker. So because of that, you can have a lot of overlapping shapes within the same shape. So we're just gonna merge that all together in Illustrator. If that's confusing, when we get into Illustrator, you'll see what I'm talking about. To keep things from getting confusing, I thought I would just walk you through the vector cleanup process using this little winged skull drawing as opposed to doing the entire shirt graphic. So when you first look at it, you might think, oh, that looks pretty good. But if we go ahead and select all of it,
oh my God, what is that?
You'll see all of these lines. And what these lines are the paths and points that make up your vector artwork. And we don't want that. We want it to be nice and clean and simple. Another way you can see this is by going into a thing called preview mode, which is Command Y. And here you can see the shapes that are making up our artwork. This is awful. This is pretty awful. What I meant to say was this is also helpful for finding like little pieces that you may have missed or need to get rid of. You can also get into preview mode by going into View and choosing Preview mode from this menu, which Outline mode? It's outline mode. It's not called preview mode. It's outline mode. I've been calling it preview mode, I think, for 20 years. It's called outline mode. You can toggle that on and off quickly with Command Y. So although this looks messy, all we need to do is merge it together. So to do that, you're going to want to look for your Pathfinder window. So if you don't have it up, you can go up to Window up at the top and choose Pathfinder. And what this is going to do is it's going to allow us to quickly combine this into one shape. So if we just click on this first option, that is the merge one. We're just going to merge everything into one thing. So just clicking on that, and you can see it gets rid of almost everything, and this looks pretty perfect. But if you notice, there's a couple little spots that I missed that I don't want there. If we zoom in, you can see these little spots. So we want to get rid of any of that extra stuff to keep things nice and tidy. My favorite way to clean this kind of thing up is to go into preview mode. So we'll do Command Y again, and we will grab the white arrow, which is the direct select arrow. I could do a whole video on the different arrows, but I'm not going to go into that right now. Just quickly, the black arrow selects entire shapes. The white arrow selects individual points within an illustration. So for example, all of these red spots, those are points that make up vector artwork. But we're not talking about that stuff in this video. We're using Fresco so that we don't have to think about that. We can just create vector artwork just like we're drawing a regular picture and not worry about how it's made. We just need to know a little bit so that our files can be nice and neat and make it look like we are professionals of the vectorness. We got our direct select arrow. We're in preview mode. Within preview mode, you can just click and drag and select pieces that you wouldn't be able to select otherwise because you'd be clicking on the actual object. But we're not clicking on the object here because we're only seeing the outlines. So for example, I select and drag this point and I just delete it. Delete this one. So if we weren't in preview mode and I tried to select and drag this, I would grab this whole thing, and that's not what we want. So again, preview mode, and now you can just come in here and grab the stuff that we don't want. And then for spots like this, where there's actually like a missing part that we didn't fill in, you can just delete those as well. You could just, without even going into preview mode, you could just click on one of those points and then just hit delete until it's gone. And now when we select this, you'll see it's nice and clean. We don't see any of those red spots anymore. All is well, except for this one intruder that I just found. What are you doing there? Let's go into preview mode. Boom. And this isn't just a good thing to do in terms of like looking professional and like cleanliness and neatness. This is to help make sure that your artwork doesn't accidentally get messed with when you're sending it off to a different kind of vendor or printer. In this case, a shirt printer. The reason for this is when they go ahead and select this, this is all one piece right now. However, if we go back, we undo a whole bunch of times to where we were at the beginning, you'll see these are all different pieces that can just get moved around, and your artwork could get easily messed up. As simple as just someone grabbing the outside and just nudging it over a couple of spots, and the whole thing is messed up. You don't want to give anyone the chance to accidentally mess up your artwork. Okay, so my shirt graphic is here. I went through and I cleaned everything up. Everything is nice and neat. The only thing I want to do now is just go ahead and name my layers. And then also, because the blue is there just as a reference, it's not actually being printed because this is going to be screen printed onto a blue shirt. I'm going to name this layer shirt. And then I can go ahead and I can lock that layer. I can also double click on my layer and uncheck the print box. And this will make sure that they don't accidentally try to print the blue onto a shirt, which would be ridiculous. They wouldn't do that, but you never know. It's just a guide. And then we can come in here and just name these layers. If you had specific ink colors that you were having printed, you could put those here. I will be referencing Pantone colors for this, but I don't have them in front of me right now. So I'm just naming them white, red, and yellow for the time being, and then black. And now I know this would be fine as it is, and then I could just send them exact Pantone colors for each, and they would understand that these were black, white, and red, and yellow. Especially black and white. Just the red and yellow. I have specific Pantones for the red and yellow. So now that this file is all set up, it's ready to get sent off to the screen printer for the shirts. And then we can take these individual elements and just resize these and move them around to use for the sticker sheet. So now that you know how easy it is to create vector artwork, you can add this to your arsenal of illustration skills. If you have someone reach out to you and they want to know if you can create vector artwork, now you can say yes, because you do know how. And hey, while you're here, check out this other video where I walk through my process creating another sticker sheet from start to finish. Or do you want to find out more about the vector trimming tool? You can find that out over here. All right, it's been a good talk.